I was in a conversation this week and this came up and I thought, man, we've got to talk about it. It was a great conversation. Loan officer is doing the work, part of my 8 week boot camp, and is just literally doing the activity, making the calls, having the face-to-face appointments, asking for the business. And it was a very sincere, just a very great. I mean, it was a great question. And so I thought, look, let's talk a little bit more about that. It was, how long will it take in order to get to insert in how many additional fundings a month? And so, let's say somebody, and here's what I thought on the podcast. I just wanted to talk about it because I've been thinking about it. I've been pondering it. I've been thinking, okay, how do we communicate in a way where if you're listening today, you're going to say, "Man, I get it." For me, it was a light bulb moment because I get that a lot. There'll be a question, and you'll talk to someone, and they'll say, "Hey, I'm currently closing 5 transactions a month. How long will it take for me to get to 10 transactions a month?" Or I'm closing 10 transactions a month, and I want to get to 20 transactions. How long do you think it'll take me? And you would say, and I oftentimes have thought, well, man, that's a great question, and the more we go deeper in what that question is, the more we realize that it's a good question, but there's a deeper question to ask that'll actually be more accurate. So here's what I want to do. I want to use an example of six consistent additional fundings a month. So, if you're closing, let's say you're closing 6 transactions a month, and I want to get to six more, which would put you at 12. Or if you're closing 3 and you want to get to 9, or you're closing 0 and you want to get to 6, or you're at 12 and you want to get to 18. In our 8 week boot camp, which, by the way, you can go to loanofficersuccess.com, fill out a couple of pieces of information. Myself or Krista will call you. We run these boot camps. It's limited to 12 people, and we're only doing 2 a month. So it's such a cool thing, and the success we're seeing. I'm thinking about Tanya and Aaron and, oh my gosh, like the wins and spiking the ball. Adam Brooks, man, these guys are just crushing it. But it's because they're in this little micro community over 8 weeks that's really helping them push past the fear, be more consistent, work on their skills, having accountability in a cool way, building a community, staying committed to Call Stars. So there's some neat stuff happening. And so this is what's been coming up. It's like, well, how long does it take for me to get 6 additional fundings? But in our boot camp on week 2, we go through something I created a couple years ago called the Fast Action 90-day plan. And that's where you put in, a couple of pieces of information, and it will literally tell you what you need to do in order to get to 6 additional fundings a month. And so I'm going to use 6 because I think it's a good number. A lot of people say, "Hey, I think I'd like to get to 6 fundings additional a month." And I'm going to walk you through what this one is. So you can go in and say, if you're a part of the boot camp or even the marketing animals, we have it a part of the membership. Where you can say, "Hey, I want 3 additional fundings, 5, 6, 12, 15. Heck, you can do 40 additional fundings." So here's what I want to do is I'm going to talk through the numbers of the Fast Action 90-day plan, and then I want to give you a thought that I think will transform the way you think about prospecting, where it's not time, but rather distance. It's not time, but rather reps. So let me just give you what you need to get 6 additional fundings and lay a foundation. And then what I'm going to do is, from that foundation, I'm going to give you something that I think will help you look at prospecting in a totally different way. So now here's what I know. There are different pillars of prospecting, or we could call it vehicles of prospecting. Like realtors are one pillar or vehicle. You got past clients are one pillar or vehicle. You got attorneys or divorce attorneys or financial planners, or insert in whatever it is that you would want to insert in, maybe an HR department that's referring you, or a builder that's referring you. So those are different pillars or vehicles. Now, what I know is the number one, more than half of the relationally referred clients back to a mortgage professional come from realtors. So here's what I've decided in my personal business as we've continued to scale. as I've helped tons of loan officers in my national sales team at Success Mortgage Partners, what we've done is we focus on realtors and we focus on our past clients. Those are the two that move the needle the most. So and it doesn't mean there aren't other pillars or vehicles, but what I want are the first fast results. I want to go from 0 to 10 or 3 to 15. I want to go from 6 to 20, the fastest. And I have found in my 22 years that that's through realtors and past clients. And in this conversation, I'm going to focus on the realtor relationships. So the vehicle we're choosing is realtor relationships because it has the most opportunity. And then the activity that needs to happen is this. You have agents that you already know, like, and trust that are already sending you business. So that makes up what your current business is, where let's just use you're already getting 5 or 6 transactions a month. Now, if I want to get 6 more, so, and I'll just use round numbers. I'm closing 6 currently, and I want to get to 12. That means I've got to make new relationships to bridge the gap from 6 to 12. So when we run the Fast Action 90-day plan, which really what this is I took the numbers and the math of thousands of our members and just said, on average, how many new realtor relationships that are qualified do you need in order to add 6 additional fundings into your pipeline? And here's what we found was that on average, now, this isn't, when I mean it's not set in stone, your number could be higher or lower, but we have found the average to be this. If I want 6 additional fundings a month, I need to get 12 qualified agent relationships. That's it. So if I can, over a period of time, get 12 new qualified, and remember, qualified is 8 or more buy-side transactions, over a distance of time, which I get to choose, then what'll happen is when I get 12, I'll start getting about 24 relational leads a month. So what we found was this: on average, a qualified agent relationally refers about 2 people every single month. Now, listen, you may be saying, hey, mine refer a lot more than that, or mine refer less than that. You may have an anomaly. You may have a qualified agent that's only referring 1 every other month. Hey, guess what? It's just going to happen. You may have a monster producer that's giving you 10 leads a month. But on average, if I've got 12 qualified Focus 40 or qualified agents that are actively referring me, I'm going to get about 24 relational leads. And so what I'm looking for is that's my dashboard. Because if I don't know what I'm going after, if I don't know, hey, look, I want to grow to 6, but what do I have to get 6 more transactions, funded loans in my pipeline, then we're just grasping at straws. We're grasping at things where they're not tangible. It's an idea. Hey, I got to go get more. Yes, but how much more? What we have to have is we got to know the math. That's the one of the key parts that we go through in the boot camp is you got to know the math, because the math calms all the anxiety. Did I do enough? Do I know my numbers? How much do I have to get in order to achieve the life and lifestyle that I want and believe I earned and deserve? And so part of knowing how many qualified agents you need is, I mean, that's a huge relief. If I want 6 more transactions from what I currently have, I need to get 12 more qualified agent relationships. Super relieving. I mean, I'm like, wow, that's great. How long will it take me to get 12? I don't know. Here's the question: how fast do you want to get there? Because those 12 those 12 qualified agents will give me 24 relational leads. Those 24 relational leads will turn into 6 fundings. So, and this is the foundation. So let me just walk you through the epiphany that has come even out of the groups in the boot camp. And it's like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. So to get 6 more fundings, I need 12 more qualified agents that'll relationally refer me 24 additional leads each month that'll give me my 6 fundings. So now I put a timeline on it. That's why I called it a 90-day fast action plan. I said, okay, so let's just put a timeline on it. Let's say we do a sprint. We're working to get to build relationships, and I want to get there in 90 days. What would it take to get there in 90 days? It would take meeting with 5 new qualified agents each and every week. So some of you may say, oh my gosh, that's a lot. Some may say that's not much. I could do more. The cool thing is it's your plan. But to get there in 90 days, you got to meet with five qualified. You have to have five kept new qualified agent appointments each and every week. And the reason that's important to know is this. So, and here's really the epiphany. Now, let me just tell you one thing. If I'm going after new qualified agents that I don't know, I need to get a qualified agent list. And that would be, you can reach out to our team. We'll help you. I know Richard Smith helps us get qualified agents, but you can do it yourself. You can pay somebody to do it. I know our loan officer, CRM.ai, has the ability to pull qualified list as well. And so, here's what I would say. I got to have a qualified agent list of new agents I don't know or people that I've done business with in the past that I want to wake up. And what we found on average to meet with five qualified agents a week, here's the activity. The activity is I need 122 outbound calls to talk to 33 agents to set 8 appointments to get 5 kept. And look, I'll tell you right now, my buddy Ryan, he was calling, I think he did 50 or 60, and that brother set he made 50 or 60 outbound calls, and he set, I don't know, I want to say 7 or 8 appointments and only 50 or 60 outbound calls. Think about Adam Brooks. I was just watching our group chat in the boot camp, and he dropped, I don't know, 13 appointments. But you may not need to do 122 outbound calls, but on average, that's what we see, 122 outbound calls. You'll talk to 33 of them. You'll book 8 appointments and 5 will keep. The reason that's important is this, and here's the aha. So what I know is now I know the activity on average, and one day I may be better, one day I may be worse, but on average, that's what I need to do every week for the next 3 months in order to start building the pipeline in month 4 and 5, start adding 6 additional fundings to my pipeline. And here was the aha. The question that I keep getting asked is, hey, Steve, how long do you think it will take me to get to X? And as I thought more about it, here's what I really, here's the illustration I want to share with everybody. I live in Houston. I live in a suburb of Houston, Southwest Houston. And to get from Houston to Beaumont, Texas, which is where I grew up in the Beaumont, Port Arthur, Port Neches Groves area, it's right at about 100 miles. And if I were to ask you this, so I want to go from Houston back to where I grew up in the Beaumont area, it's 100 miles. And I were to ask you, hey, tell me this, how long will it take for me to get to Beaumont? Right? Good question. What's interesting is this, and I can hear what some of you are saying. Like if I were to say, hey, okay, so I want to leave. I want to go to Beaumont, Texas. How long will it take? Good question, right? Hey, I don't know. The question you would have to ask back is, number one, hey, how are you getting there? Are you walking? Are you riding a bike? Are you driving a car? Are you flying a helicopter? Are you flying a plane? Right? Like what vehicle are you taking? So just like in the mortgage space, am I calling agents? Am I calling past clients? Am I going after divorce attorneys, which have less clients? Financial planners have less. Am I going after builders, which are 30% of the business right now on purchase transactions? So what's the vehicle you're going to take to get to Beaumont, Texas? Now, here's my next question to you. If I want to go to Beaumont, hey, well, I don't want to go 100 miles. I want to go 50 miles, right? I don't want to meet with 5 qualified agents a week, or really what it is, it's 60 qualified agents over the course of 90 days or 3 months is what it takes to get 12 of them to actively start referring you, right? So if I meet with 5 new qualified agents every week for the next 3 months, that's 60. So I got to meet with 60 qualified agents over a 3-month span if I want to start funding 6 additional loans in a 90-day window. So here's the real thing. Like if I want to get to 6 additional fundings, that means I need 12 qualified Focus 40 agents, but I don't want to meet with 60. I want to meet with 30. Does that work? Just like, hey, I want to go to Beaumont, Texas. It's 100 miles away, but I only want to drive 50 miles. Will I get to Beaumont? No, I'll land somewhere like in Baytown or somewhere in between Beaumont, but 50 miles does not get me to Beaumont, Texas. And the aha is this, hey, but Steve, I don't want to meet with all of those qualified agents. I only want to meet with, say, 2 a week but I'll do it consistently until I get to 12 that are actively referring that give me 6 in my pipeline, right? Awesome. Can I do it in 90 days? Nope. It'll take you about a year, maybe a year and a half. And the aha is it's always a good question. Hey, how long will it take for me to get 6 additional fundings in my pipeline? The real question is, how fast are you willing to drive from Houston, Texas to Beaumont? Do I want to drive 20 miles an hour? Do I want to hit every historical marker from here to Beaumont? Do I want to go 10 miles and stay the night in a hotel and swim in the pool and then drive 10 miles and stay the night in another hotel and swim in the pool and hang out and drive 10 more miles? So that sounds like it may take me a week to get to Beaumont. And some of you might say, hey, I don't want to take a week. I want to get there in about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Guess what? Jump in your car, drive 75 miles an hour, and don't stop till you get to Beaumont. Don't stop for a restroom break. Don't stop to get gas. Don't stop to get food. And guess what? You will get there faster than someone who decides, I want to check out the historical markers. You know what? I don't want to meet with 5 qualified agents a week. I want to meet with 5 qualified agents a day. And the aha on this really came from I was meeting with some friends of mine, and they're ramping up their business, and they literally went from last year they were closing 0 to 0, 1, 2, 3 loans a month, 0, 1, 2, 3 loans a month. And this last month put between the two of them like something 22 loans in the like literally funding, and they're tracking for 25, 30 loans in the next 30, 45 days. And what really stirred the conversation was this, where I see a lot of people saying, hey, I want to get there in 90 days. They said, I want to get there in about 30 to 40 days. And the only thing they did was they started, instead of meeting with 5 qualified agents a week, their goal is 5 qualified agents a day. And the aha was this, and that's why I want to share it. It doesn't matter what your plan is. And I know I just heard somebody in my head say, how are they meeting with 5 qualified agents a day? Well, they decided they were going to hire somebody to set their appointments. And that person sets their appointments each day. And some days they have 3 people show up, and some days they have 5 or 6 people show up. The key is they couldn't do it on their own. They hired somebody, a caller that did nothing but set up their appointments. Even though it's a lower conversion, their commitment was, I want to meet with 5 agents a day. Why? Because I want to go from Houston to Beaumont, Texas, and I want to do it in an hour and a half. I don't want to do it in 2 days. I don't want to do it in a week. I don't want to do it in 15 hours. I want to get there the fastest route I can get there. And for them, the pace was 5 qualified agent calls in appointments a day. And so the reason I say that is when you hear yourself saying, how long will it take for me to get from where I'm at to insert in the number of closings you want a month? Remember this, it's not time, it's distance. It's not time, it's reps. It's not time, it's how fast do I want to go from Houston, Texas to Beaumont, Texas? How fast do I want to go from 0 to 6 fundings a month, or from 6 fundings to 12 fundings a month? And in the pace of your travel, the pace of your work, the pace of doing the right activity is what will determine what the length of time it takes for you to get 6 additional, 8 additional, 12 additional, 15 additional fundings. And the aha is just like you can't change the distance from Houston to Beaumont, Texas. I can't say, I only want to go 75 miles. Great. You'll end up in Winnie, not Beaumont. And if you're okay being in Winnie, Texas, that's okay. But you can't tell yourself, I only want to drive 75 miles and I'm going to get to Beaumont. That's deceiving yourself. Just like saying, I'm going to get to 6 fundings a month, but I don't want to meet with qualified agents. You will eventually get there, maybe. But what I have found is that we lean on time and not reps, and truly understanding that you got to put miles on the car, which means meeting with new qualified agents that aren't actively referring you, or insert in your own vehicle. Maybe it's, I got to meet with 22 divorce attorneys. That's a great one. But for me personally, I just want to do what gives me the most result, moves the needle the most, the fastest, and that has been proven consistently with thousands and thousands of loan officers before me and before you who know that that's a proven plan. So, hey, I hope this helps. And in one of the things I would invite you to do I love these conversations. They're so rich, and they come out of the 8-week boot camp. I get the privilege to be a part of so many of your story and your journey, and that's where I just want to encourage you. If you feel like, hey, I need some consistency, I need some accountability, I need a proven plan, I need to be a part of a community that's moving the ball forward together, I want to invite you. Fill out the information at loanofficersuccess.com, loanofficersuccess.com. We go through it, and there's only 12 per group, and we're only doing two a month. But if you'll put your information in, myself, Krista, we'll reach out to you, see if it's a good fit for you. If it is, come join us, jump on a journey. I would love to help be a part of your success. Again, it's loanofficersuccess.com. Hey, and just one last thing as I'm thinking about it, remember this, it's not time, it's distance. So when you're looking to ramp up your business, you've got to be honest with what's the work I'm willing to do in order to get to my desired result. And even in this case where we talked about 6 additional fundings, 12 new relationships, 24 leads, the real thing is you got to meet with 60 qualified agents over the course of 90 days to be able to ramp up at that level. And one of the things that I want to encourage you is just being honest with, am I willing to do that work? And if not, adjust it either up or down. And I think some of you, you want to get there faster. There's no way around distance. Time does not overcome distance. You have to take the step. You got to take be willing to travel the distance to get the result. So my encouragement is keep doing the work. Don't stop. This is going to be your best year ever. Go to loanofficersuccess.com, fill out the information. Remember this, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. See you.